Growing older doesn't have to mean giving up on the things you love. It can mean growing more you, more wise, more connected, more deeply yourself. And while nursing homes provide vital care for some, they aren't the only path. Today we're exploring the heart of aging, focusing on how we can continue to live vibrant, fulfilling lives as we grow older. We'll examine the diverse choices we face, especially when it comes to care, acknowledging that while nursing homes are essential for some, they represent just one option among many. We'll share 10 inspiring stories of individuals who have discovered creative and empowering ways to thrive in later life. Because aging isn't about giving up, it's about living fully and authentically at every stage. Story number 1. The undying spirit of independence. Grandpa Joe's independence wasn't just about being able to prune his roses or drive to the coffee shop. It was about something much deeper. It was about his sense of self. He'd spent his life building a routine, a rhythm that gave his days meaning. The garden, with its familiar scent of earth and blooms, was where he felt closest to his late wife. The coffee shop, with its boisterous chatter and friendly banter, was where he connected with his community. These weren't just places. They were threads in the fabric of his life. His family, bless their hearts, saw his declining physical abilities and worried. They suggested a nursing home, picturing a place where he'd be safe and cared for. But they didn't understand. For Joe, safe meant staying connected to the life he knew. It meant keeping his garden, his friends, his routines. The thought of losing all that felt like losing a part of himself. The turning point came when his granddaughter, Sarah, visited. She didn't just see an old man needing care. She saw her grandfather, a man with stories to tell and a spirit that still burned bright. She listened. She heard about the garden, the coffee shop, the memories woven into every corner of his life. And she understood. Together, they explored options. Home care was expensive, a real challenge for Joe's family. They made sacrifices, adjusted their own budgets, and found a part-time caregiver, Maria. Maria wasn't just a helper, she was a companion. She shared Joe's love of gardening, listened patiently to his stories, and became a part of his life. It wasn't perfect. There were still difficult days, and the financial strain was a constant worry. But Joe was at home. He was independent, in his own way, surrounded by the things that gave his life meaning. And that made all the difference. Story number 2, finding your tribe, finding yourself. Mrs. Hargrove had always been a teacher. Her classroom was her kingdom, her students her purpose. Retirement, while welcome at first, left a void. She missed the daily interaction, the feeling of making a difference. She felt adrift, isolated in her quiet house. Her family suggested a retirement community, but she hesitated. She wasn't sure she was ready to leave her home, her familiar surroundings. But the loneliness was a heavy burden. She longed for connection, for purpose, for a place where she could share her gifts. So, she took a leap of faith. The retirement community wasn't just a place to live, it was a chance to build a new life. It wasn't easy. Leaving her home was emotional, and she missed her old friends. But she discovered a vibrant community of people who shared her passions. She started a knitting circle, sharing her skills and connecting with others. She found a new purpose, a new tribe. Moving was a big financial decision. She had to downsize, sell her house, and carefully manage her finances. But the joy of connection, the sense of belonging, made it all worthwhile. She wasn't just surviving, she was thriving. She had found a new chapter, a new community, a new version of herself. Story number 3, Adventure Redefined. Mr. Thompson had always dreamed of seeing the world. But life, as it often does, got in the way. Work, family, responsibilities. The years flew by, and his dream remained just that, a dream. Until, in his late 80s, something shifted. He realized that time was precious, and if he didn't act now, his dream would never become a reality. He wasn't looking for luxury, he wanted authentic experiences. He wanted to learn about different cultures, meet people from all walks of life, and challenge himself in ways he never had before. He knew it wouldn't be easy. Traveling at his age presented challenges. His body wasn't as strong as it used to be, and he had to be mindful of his health. But he was determined. He planned carefully, researching accessible travel options and working with his doctor to ensure he was prepared for any health issues that might arise. The trips weren't always smooth. There were moments of exhaustion, moments of frustration, and moments when he questioned his sanity. But there were also moments of pure joy, moments of wonder, moments of connection that made it all worthwhile. He discovered a resilience he never knew he had. He learned that adventure wasn't just for the young. It was for anyone with a curious spirit and a willingness to embrace the unknown. Story number 4. Tech as a tool for empowerment. Grandma Ruth was intimidated by technology. She'd never used a computer, and the thought of navigating the internet filled her with anxiety. But she was also lonely. Her family lived far away, and she missed seeing her grandchildren grow up. She longed to connect with them, to share in their lives, but the distance felt vast. She knew technology could be a bridge, but she didn't know where to start. Her grandchildren, bless their hearts, were patient and persistent. They showed her how to video chat, how to email, how to explore the vast world of information online. It wasn't easy. There were moments of frustration, moments when she wanted to give up. But she persevered, driven by her love for her family and her desire to stay connected. Learning technology wasn't just about connecting with family. It was about reclaiming her independence. She could order groceries online, manage her finances, and even take online classes. It opened up a whole new world of possibilities. It wasn't always smooth sailing. The technology was sometimes confusing, and she had to rely on the patience of her grandchildren. But with each new skill she mastered, her confidence grew. She wasn't just an old lady anymore. She was Grandma Ruth, tech-savvy and connected. Story number 5. The Art of Adaptation. Mr. Clark's garden wasn't just a patch of land. It was an extension of himself. For decades, he'd poured his heart and soul into cultivating a sprawling oasis of flowers, vegetables, and fruit trees. It was his sanctuary, a place where he found solace, connection with nature, and a deep sense of accomplishment. Each bloom, each ripe tomato, was a testament to his hard work and his love for the earth. But as the years passed, Mr. Clark began to notice that his body wasn't keeping up with the demands of his beloved garden. The bending, the digging, the weeding, it all became more challenging, more painful. He tried to push through, but eventually, he had to admit that he couldn't manage it all anymore. The realization was a difficult one. Mr. Clark felt a profound sense of loss, as if he was losing a part of himself. He worried about the garden falling into disrepair, about the vibrant space he had created becoming overgrown and neglected. More than that, he worried about losing the connection to nature, the sense of purpose that gardening gave him. He felt a pang of grief for the life he had built around his garden, a life that was now changing. His family, seeing his struggle, suggested that he give up gardening altogether. They thought it would be easier for him, less physically demanding. But Mr. Clark couldn't imagine his life without his garden. It wasn't just a hobby. It was a part of who he was. He knew he had to find a way to adapt, to continue nurturing his connection with the earth, even if it meant doing things differently. Instead of giving up, Mr. Clark decided to downsize. He carefully planned a smaller, more manageable garden, focusing on plants that were easier to care for and that brought him the most joy. He chose vibrant flowers that attract butterflies and hummingbirds, and he planted a few rows of his favorite vegetables, the ones that tasted best fresh from the garden. He invested in some adaptive tools that made gardening easier on his aging body, and he learned new techniques that minimized strain. The process of transforming his garden was challenging, both physically and emotionally. Letting go of some of his plants was difficult, but Mr. Clark focused on the positive, the opportunity to create a new space, a space that was perfectly suited to his current abilities. He found a sense of peace in the simplicity of his new garden. It was smaller, yes, but it was no less beautiful, no less fulfilling. In fact, in some ways, it was even better. With fewer plants to tend to, he had more time to appreciate the beauty of each individual bloom, more time to connect with the rhythm of the seasons. He also found a new sense of community, sharing his harvest with neighbors and connecting with other gardeners in his area. Mr. Clark's story is a reminder that adaptation is a natural part of aging. It's not about giving up on the things we love. It's about finding new ways to enjoy them, new ways to connect with them, new ways to make them our own. It's about embracing change, finding joy in simplicity, and discovering the resilience and creativity that reside within us, even as we grow older. Story number 6. The strength of home. Mildred's house wasn't just a building, it was a living history. Every room whispered stories, laughter echoing from holiday gatherings, whispered secrets shared with her children, the comforting smell of her husband's pipe tobacco lingering in the air. It was where she had built her life, her family, her memories. It was home. As Mildred's health began to decline, her family gently suggested it might be time to consider a smaller place, somewhere easier to manage. They worried about her safety, about the upkeep of the large house. But for Mildred, leaving her home felt like losing a part of herself. It wasn't just about the physical space, it was about the emotional connection to a lifetime of experiences. It was about the comfort of familiar surroundings, the sense of belonging that only a home can provide. Her family, understanding her deep attachment, rallied around her. They realized that keeping Mildred in her home wasn't just about her physical needs, it was about preserving her sense of identity, her connection to her past. They organized a rotating schedule of visits, with family members taking turns helping with chores, running errands, and simply spending time with her. They made modifications to the house to make it safer and more accessible, installing grab bars in the bathroom and ramps at the entrances. It wasn't always easy. The family made sacrifices, adjusting their own schedules and sometimes putting their own needs aside. And Mildred had to accept a little help, something she had always been fiercely independent about. But the result was worth it. Mildred was able to stay in her home, surrounded by the memories she cherished, feeling safe, loved, and connected to her family. Her home wasn't just a place, it was the heart of her life. Story number 7. Proactive health and wellness. Emily understood that aging well wasn't about avoiding getting older, it was about embracing it, mind, body, and spirit. She knew that good health wasn't just a matter of luck, it was a matter of intention, of making conscious choices every day. She wasn't just concerned about living a long life, she was concerned about living a good life, a life filled with energy, purpose, and joy. She made healthy eating a priority, filling her plate with colorful fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, and whole grains. She joined a yoga class specifically designed for seniors, finding both physical and mental benefits in the gentle movements and mindful breathing. She made sure to get enough sleep, recognizing that rest was essential for both physical and mental rejuvenation. But Emily's commitment to wellness went beyond diet and exercise. She also prioritized her mental and emotional health, connecting with friends and family, engaging in activities that brought her joy, and taking time for quiet reflection and self-care. She also took a proactive approach to her health care. She wasn't afraid to ask her doctor questions, and she actively researched different treatment options when necessary. She understood that she was a partner in her own health care, not just a passive recipient of medical advice. She got regular checkups and screenings, and she wasn't afraid to seek help when she needed it. Emily's approach to wellness wasn't about avoiding illness, it was about maximizing her quality of life, ensuring that she could continue to do the things she loved for as long as possible. Story number 8. Building a support system. James loved his mother deeply. When she began to need more care, he didn't hesitate to step in. He wanted to provide her with the best possible care, to ensure that she was comfortable and safe. But he quickly discovered that caregiving was more challenging than he had anticipated. The emotional and physical demands were immense, and he began to feel overwhelmed and isolated. He loved his mother, but he also needed support for himself. He realized that he couldn't do it all alone. He joined a local caregiver support group, where he found a community of people who understood his struggles. Sharing his experiences with others who were going through similar challenges was incredibly validating, and he learned valuable tips and resources from the other caregivers. He also started seeing a therapist, who helped him to manage the stress and emotional toll of caregiving. He learned that taking care of himself wasn't selfish, it was essential if he was going to be able to continue caring for his mother. James also learned to accept help from others. He hired a part-time home health aide to assist with some of his mother's personal care needs, giving him some much-needed respite. He also relied on friends and family for emotional support, sharing his feelings and asking for help when he needed it. Building a support system wasn't easy. It required vulnerability and a willingness to ask for help, but it was essential for both James's well-being and his mother's care. Story number 9. The power of lifelong learning. Maria had always been a curious person. She loved learning, exploring new ideas, and expanding her knowledge. Retirement for her wasn't an end to learning, it was a beginning. It was a chance to finally pursue all the interests she had never had time for. She believed that learning wasn't just for the young, it was a lifelong journey, a way to stay engaged with the world and keep her mind sharp. She enrolled in an online photography course, finally having the time to delve into a passion she had always nurtured. She joined a book club, connecting with other readers and discussing thought-provoking literature. She attended lectures at a local university, exploring topics that had always intrigued her. She even picked up a musical instrument, something she had always wanted to learn but never had the time for. Learning new things wasn't just about keeping her mind active, it was about connecting with others, sharing her passions, and finding new sources of joy and fulfillment. She discovered a community of lifelong learners, people of all ages who shared her curiosity and her thirst for knowledge. She found that learning wasn't just about acquiring information, it was about expanding her understanding of the world and her place in it. Story number 10. Advocating for your best life. David believed that aging well meant taking control of his own life, making informed decisions, and advocating for his needs. He understood that no one knew his body and his experiences better than he did, and he wasn't afraid to speak up and make his voice heard. When he was diagnosed with a chronic condition, he didn't just passively accept what his doctor told him. He researched his condition thoroughly, asked questions, and sought out second opinions when necessary. He wanted to understand all his options so he could make informed decisions about his treatment. He also realized that advocating for his best life meant more than just managing his health. It meant planning for his future, ensuring that his legal and financial affairs were in order. He connected with an elder law attorney who helped him to create a plan for his long-term care, protecting his assets and ensuring that his wishes would be respected. He also joined a support group for people with his condition, where he could share his experiences and learn from others. Advocating for himself wasn't always easy. It required assertiveness, persistence, and a willingness to ask for help, but David knew that it was essential for ensuring his well-being and maintaining his independence. He understood that being his own advocate was an act of self-care, a way to ensure that he could live his life on his own terms, for as long as possible. These stories, these journeys, they're not just about other people. They're reflections of the questions we all ask ourselves about aging. What resonates most with you? Have you faced similar challenges, made similar choices? Perhaps you're caring for a loved one and struggling to find balance. Or maybe you're looking ahead, wondering what your own path will look like. Share your thoughts, your experiences, your hopes, and even your fears in the comments below. Let's create a community where we can support each other, learn from each other, and celebrate the richness of life at every age. We'd also love to hear what topics you'd like us to cover in future videos. What questions about aging are on your mind? Aging is a journey, a continuous unfolding of who we are. It's a time for growth, adaptation, and rediscovering the strength and wisdom within us. It's about finding our own way to live fully, authentically, and joyfully, no matter the challenges we face. The choices we make about care, connection, and purpose are deeply personal. There's no single right answer. The key is to explore the possibilities, to understand your options, and to create a life that honors your unique needs and desires. And remember, you are not alone on this journey. We hope this video has offered you inspiration, information, and a renewed sense of possibility. We've shared these stories not to tell you what to do, but to show you what's possible. Remember, you have agency. You have the power to shape your later years in a way that brings you joy, independence, and connection. Explore the resources we've linked in the description below, everything from local support groups and home care options to legal assistance and lifelong learning programs. Connect with your community. Never stop learning, never stop growing, and never stop believing in the power of your own resilience. If this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need a little inspiration today. Let's build a world where aging is celebrated, not feared. Your story is still being written. Embrace this chapter with courage, compassion, and a deep belief in your own potential. The heart of aging isn't about decline, it's about discovering the strength, beauty, and wisdom that reside within you. The best is yet to come.